Welcome to Ignite Intimacy, a podcast exploring intimacy, romantic relationships, sexuality, and the all of everything that relates to these hot topics. We're going in. You ready? This is your host, Miss La. Let's do this. Hello, Ignite Intimacy community. This is Miss Laura Aisha, and you are tuning in for another powerful episode of Ignite Intimacy. And we have this incredible woman on the line with us today, Alison Lessard, and she is, she's got like quite a few areas of expertise under her belt. So like aside from, being an astrologer, an Akashic Records consultant, NLP, tarot, Reiki, Kundalini yoga, various coaching methods. What is happening, Alison? How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I know, right? That's a long list. That's a long resume.
It's awesome. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, we don't do it all at once though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the spiritual.
It's the toolbox.
Totally.
It's like a spiritual toolbox thing. You can just pick and choose and you have lots of things to choose from. But yeah, we don't do all that at one time. That'd be overwhelming.
I was going to call it a cocktail, but toolbox works too. So yeah, this is cool. Gosh, so many of these areas I've either, touched into or been really curious about, like Akashic Records. What does that work about?
The Akashic Records is essentially, it's like another divination tool, but it's also a frequency that you're basically tapping into. So you can, if you wanted to make a visual, it would be like another level of consciousness where all of these memories are stored. So they say that the Akasha, right, is this frequency where all of our soul's memories are stored. So if you were to, just like if you're meditating and you receive an intuitive message, if you're utilizing and going into, like, imagine it like a library of your soul's memories, you go into the Akashic Records, this frequency, you're able to access any of this information, given that it's in your highest good to know it at that time. Because, sometimes we want to know things and sort of get too far ahead of the game. And if it's not in our highest good to know that information at that time, then we won't get it. But if it is, it's a method to, really get more information about your soul's plan and why are you here, and potentially, past life experiences for healing. So it's really fascinating. It's really cool, some of the stuff that you can discover using that method. So yeah, it's not as complex as it sounds in terms of how to train to do it, but it is fascinating. The more that you're relaxed and the more open you are to the information, what you can receive.
It's very interesting. Yeah, that is fascinating.
It's a school library.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've heard. I'd love to know more about that. And so basically, we're going to dive into sacred sexuality today.
Cool.
Yes. And yeah, cause that's
your forum, that's
your zone. That's my zone,
Yeah.
And the cool thing about what the space that you create and hold in the world is that you actually focus on both genders.
Right.
Right. So correct. Masculine and feminine, which I think is really cool. And, talk to us a little bit about that, because I feel like we've had a handful of conversations recently where it's like, we're just like acknowledging that, like, there's a lot of support out there for women, and there's becoming more support for men, but definitely we're still lagging a bit in the support for men area.
Yeah. What I've experienced in my practice, in my personal practice and working with people one-on-one is that for men, the way that women and men just process information is different. And so, with my female clients, most of them wanted group support. And so, after some time, I created a group support system for my female clients because they want to talk. They want to gather. If we go back to like hunters and gatherers, because it's in our DNA, women gathered and talked and did things together in groups, and men went out and, let's say hunted, but with a singular focus, quietly. It's not like they were discussing, they were all out there with the same goal, really singularly focused is the point. And men tend to process in silence, whereas women want to talk. if we're to super simplify it, right? So with my female clients, since they wanted the group support, it's like reaching the genders, and although things are shifting and changing now, and whatever, women and men are becoming more almost androgynous because we're learning to balance both those energies within ourselves, but we're not there yet. So I find that for women, they need one method to grow and to learn and to be supported. And then for men, men are more like, they come to you, they have an issue, they want to be heard and acknowledged, but they don't really need a ton of advice. They'd rather get tools to go and study on their own and then sort of come back and say, hey, I did this, or this worked for me, this didn't work for me, but they don't really want to talk throughout the process. So my male clients would come and we'd have, a call, say an hour-long session. A lot of things come up. They say, okay, what can I do to work on these areas? And then they want to go and work on it. That so far in my experience has been, my practice. So men tend to observe. So they might even be in my membership group. They don't even join the Facebook group. They just want to watch the content.
Yeah.
Or, they're following the videos online on YouTube or on my Facebook page, and they'll make comments here and there. But creating resources for men as a woman, I think that a lot of women might be either nervous to create, maybe because, we're different. So if they're not sure what men need, they might not be inclined to create resources for men. I think that the men that are coming out and doing this kind of work, let's say personal development, but more, how do I want to put it? Like more holistic, not just business development or like the very masculine, like kind of Tony Robbins approach. And I love Tony Robbins. Like, I think he's a genius and he's really done his work and he's great for a lot of things, but he's not going to be for everybody. And so, there's a different kind of way to do it too. And it might be more of an integrative approach and not so, because some of my male friends who are very masculine in their energy are like, he's too aggressive for me. And I'm like, I hear you.
Interesting.
So, you know what I mean? Like for a very yang person who does things in a very forward driven masculine way, that's fine. And like I said, I resonate with a lot of what he says, but then there are a lot of people that are not like that and they might be turned off. Say that's not for me, it's too much, because personally I wouldn't go to a conference because I'm really sensitive to energy and it's too much for me. Like I would be totally overwhelmed. I don't think I could process the information. So a lot of the people that I work with are very sensitive. They're empaths, they're energetically really sensitive and open. And so they're looking for other ways to, it's like they're looking for masculine role models or ways to be more in tune as a man with women or, even with same-sex relationships. I go with everybody, whatever resonates. But my specialty is obviously heterosexual relationships because that's my story. So that's where I'm most skilled. However, I work with all different kinds of people. But I feel like men just need different resources. And they, like I said, since they tend to like to go and do things on their own, like take the homework home and do it in their own time and space, I feel like the more we can offer these kinds of resources to men, it's not that they don't want to do this, they don't want to grow, or they don't want to meet, partners halfway. It's that they're really lacking, I feel, in support. So yeah, it is an issue, but it's something that I'm aware of and that I want to try and do my best to balance out and to, create more for them and not leave them behind. Because I think that the female clients I have are pretty aware and doing, the personal development and spiritual development, but they're kind of like, where are the men?
Yeah.
I'm like, chill.
Yeah. Like, are you like,
they want to come, but it's intimidating. It's overwhelming. They don't know where to start. And there's not a whole lot out there for them, as far as resources are concerned. So it's just going to take some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and so your bio says that, okay, so you're a relationship and sacred sexuality expert, right, and you offer digital education resources for enlightened personal development. Right. And
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Basically, e-courses that you can do on your own, that's my special spot. That's really the videos and the e-courses what I enjoy the most. So that's, rather than counseling. A lot of healers or people out there doing this work are doing a lot of one-on-one work. And I'm more interested in creating things for people to use at their own pace.
Yeah, which is awesome. And it says you help men and women elevate their relationships by teaching them how to transform old pain into harmonious, more sacred connections with others.
Right.
Also, and also unlocking your highest sexual potential to transform all areas of your life.
Right. Right. So because our sexual energy is our most powerful energy that we have available to us, and most people don't know how to utilize it beyond having sex. or masturbating. They're like, what else can we do with it? They're not even aware that these practices exist. And so in terms of, let's say, Kundalini yoga or breath work or anything sort of tantric, breath work or meditations or, things based in ancient Chinese medicine and all of these sort of ancient sacred practices that, have been, I feel like there's a lot of oral traditions. So, when I was doing a lot of research, like when I started out my business a few years back, when I really started to focus on the relationships and I was searching for information, I will be honest with you, there's not a ton out there. I probably bought all the books on Amazon that I could find on these topics, but I did feel like there was kind of a hole in this area. And I think that that's changing now a lot, especially most recently, the last couple of years. I feel like a lot of this is changing and that's why my business focus is there, but I feel that it's so important for people to understand that if they really want a conscious, awakened partnership, which most people that come to me say that's what I want, I realized that I was kind of sleepwalking before and I was really in a lot of pain cycles and these repeated push and pull dynamics or these painful, abusive relationship dynamics and it just drama and a lot of just repeating the same patterns. I don't want to do that anymore. And there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, people have been talking about this forever.
Oh, yeah.
What's changing, I feel, is that spirituality and people recognizing, oh, what's a soulmate? Like, oh, we have a spiritual connection. Oh, there might be something here, that's also not just tangible scientific, but could potentially be in the realm of, a karmic. Spirit. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, we might have some rebalancing to do. I might know this person from a past life. This is becoming way more mainstream. So now people are like, right? Like, cause I'm thinking about Russell Brand or Jim Carrey or people that have been really honestly in the public light recently talking about transcendental meditation and talking about Kundalini awakenings and things that are not new, but I just feel that they haven't gotten a whole lot of, it's like not just that they haven't gotten the airtime, it's that people weren't taking it seriously. And now I'm getting the feeling that it's really changing. And it is a collective energy, right? So it's happening on a collective scale. This is not just individuals, but on Earth, like we're changing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there's like a bunch of stuff bubbling up here. And like, so definitely we need to dive into the realm of the soul relationship and like the different levels of soul relationships and twin flames and all of that. Cause that's been a big area of interest in my life. And then also just thinking about, I was thinking probably about a month ago, I saw this young woman get on a mic at a jam session and like, she was just so fully expressed. Mm-hmm. It was like the link that I made to my own full expression. It was like when I'm in a sexual zone with someone I feel really safe with, like that is like the fullest, like I am fully expressed in some of those moments, Right. Mm-hmm. And so I was likening it to that. And I was like, how can I bring that energy of my, like when I am with someone that I feel so safe with and so on it with, sexually, how do I bring that full expression to my music performance where I'm holding back so much?
Right.
So that's something that like, becomes like more aware for me as we're talking about, taking, like unlocking your highest sexual potential to transform all areas of your life.
Right. Not just your relationships. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I posted a quote on my Instagram the other day by Pablo Picasso and it said sex and art are the same thing. And essentially, the way that I see it is that when we're in that full, like you said, if you're with a partner, you feel really safe, you're opening up your energy and you're allowing yourself to just be in that moment. That's full presence, right? So what you're doing is essentially connecting with source. You're connecting with spirit, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. You're connecting with the fullest expression of your soul, because that's without any masks or barriers or illusions. That's connecting with divinity. That's our true essence. That's what we are. Yeah. And then we come onto Earth with this in this matrix and in this third dimensional energy, which is really dense, and we forget. who we really are. So when you're having an orgasmic experience with somebody, what you're really doing is pulling away all the veils and feeling what you are truly, like what your essence is truly meant to be. So that's why I feel so good. But it's not the person that's doing that. That's just us allowing ourselves to connect with that frequency.
And how often do we put it on the other person? Like
99.9% of the time.
The good, bad, and the ugly, right? Like I
mean, that's the thing. It's learning that attachment is the root of suffering, and that if as humans we can learn to be in our own energy and our own frequency and clear our own auric field, and then merge with another person without the neediness, without the dependency, and it's human nature. I mean, we do this because that's how, it's in our DNA to want to bond and hook on and feel safe and feel secure. It is part of but that's changing because we're realizing, okay, this creates pain because when I'm attached to the person and making them the source of my happiness, or thinking for whatever reason that they're the reason I'm having this orgasm, they're the reason that I'm feeling all this pleasure, then we've given our power away. So then that's not actually our truth. So that's why it hurts. If we're having an amazing experience with a partner and then we break up and then we think, I can't have that. How many women or men do you know that say, I'll never find somebody else again that makes me feel that way? Especially after a breakup.
Ooh, I've done it. I mean, and as painful as it is, I have an insight into something I didn't have, and definitely not in my 20s, and maybe not even into my earlier mid 30s. But the knowing that, for me, I've been relatively single my whole adult life, but I've had lots of friends and lovers, and different types of boyfriends, not like what the traditional sense. So, but it's like there's a line.
Yeah,
there's actually a line, and so like. Somebody may like totally ignite you in one way and like you think they're everything and you're like, oh my gosh. And then it's like they go away for whatever reason. And then like someone else comes in.
Yeah. Or you think like, oh, it's all been lost. And then someone comes in and shows you another aspect of yourself and really what you're seeing. This is what I'm helping people understand when I talk about a sacred connection with another. It's using the other as your mirror, as the reflection of those aspects of yourself, so you can see yourself more clearly, and using a relationship, understanding that it's a vehicle to elevate your consciousness. It's not just a physical experience or an emotional experience, but it's a spiritual experience, because we meet soulmates of whatever form, platonic, romantic, whatever, colleagues, we meet soulmates to grow, to evolve. Our soul came and incarnated because it wanted to evolve certain aspects of our being. So if we came to learn, for example, emotional independence, okay, then we're going to be in some really needy, dependent relationship dynamics. We're going to have to feel what that feels like, change those patterns, resolve the root core or karma of that connection. And then sometimes those relationships will either improve or they'll disappear. That's the thing. Like sometimes people will stick around and we're meant to walk the path with that person for an extended period of time or a lifetime. Maybe it's a family member or a close friend that's in your life your entire life. Or, we have people that will come in for a certain period of time and we'll work on an issue together consciously or unconsciously. And then it's okay that they go away because perhaps that's it. You've done what you needed to do with that person. But because of the attachment issues that we're learning how to become more aware of and heal, we try sometimes out of fear just to hold on to things thinking that they're the source, but a person is not our source.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Totally. Yeah. And, I was just speaking with Eva Clay, who I had on the podcast recently, and she was saying like, look at, every romantic relationship and partner that comes into your life on whatever level that is as a teacher.
Yes.
And, because ultimately it's like, I think one of the gifts of not being able to like depend on a relationship with a man to like get through the hard times, to support me when things were financially tough, to blah, 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 blah. Like not having that has allowed me to become just super resourceful. And, and I'm not saying like it's good or bad or, but it's like, man, I've really had to develop some skills.
Yes.
Without
like emotional interdependence, learning how to self-soothe, finding a source of esteem that's within you and not validated from, an outside source. And that really is I consciously stayed single after my last breakup because I had so much work to do. And I was just like, oh my God, I'll never be able to. And I knew that on a soul level, my intuition was telling me, just don't date. And for a while, I thought maybe I'm really not being open. Maybe I'm closing myself off because I'm afraid, or I have some fear of intimacy again. And I thought that. And then I said, you know what? No, I'm just going to honor the space of being alone and really learning how to tap into my own power. And that's what I've been doing. That doesn't mean that I didn't have plenty of nights where I cried myself to sleep, felt lonely, whatever. It's human nature. I mean, being alone isn't easy, but it is most definitely a huge lesson. And like you said, you do become very resourceful, but also more free. I mean, you're free, and then you learn, I can share my energy with somebody, which is what I'm teaching people. I'm not saying, hey, be single forever, because that's what an empowered person looks like. I think relationships are one of the most amazing and most challenging ways that we grow as a soul. I mean, it's a fact. Relationships that are conscious and aware, I'll just use those labels because that they make it more clear, are work. Like anything else. It doesn't mean it's not rewarding or fulfilling, but when you're really owning your own stuff, which being alone will help you do because you don't have anybody to point a finger at. So then when you're having a really bad day, it's like, oh, I have to own this. Or if you're really pissed off about something, it's like, I have nobody to blame. So I'm just going to have to sit with this and be kind of uncomfortable. And if you really become aware of how we project our own issues onto other people and don't want to take responsibility for our feelings and recognize those things, they can shift. And that's the beauty. Like, that's the amazing thing. And so if we're single and we don't have a romantic relationship for a little while, we can still use our friends and the people in our life as teachers, like you said, and really learn that everybody around us is showing us something about ourselves, whether it feels good or it feels yucky. It's just we're all mirrors. So when we can look at it in that way, it can make it easier, but sometimes it's very triggering for people. Yeah. Because we are healing this victim consciousness on a broader scale. So all genders, just really being in our own power.
Whew. Oh gosh. That's a big one.
I tell people I'll be employed for life because relationships are never going to be not in style. Like, we're always going to be in relationships and people will always have questions about how to improve them. So I feel like good lifelong work.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much to be done. It's like baby steps, just baby steps. There's a lot of potential, for change quickly. It's just, getting the information and distilling it to people in a way that they can understand and that makes them feel motivated to want to do this because it can be highly uncomfortable, as you know.
Absolutely. Well, and can you imagine, let's imagine a world where we've reached the tipping point on that victim story.
Right.
And now we're more people in the world are in their power.
Right.
And that victim story is now cleared and cleaned up. I mean, that's that's kind of world I want to live in,
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what we'll reach in this lifetime or what will happen, but I definitely feel like what's going on in the world right now, and I'm talking now, 2017. I mean, it's feeling like that boiling point. It's just reaching a place where people can no longer hide from themselves. It's like we have to look at our stuff. We have to. I mean, look what's happening around the world. Not getting into politics. I'm just saying there's a lot going on. And it's undeniable. I mean, I just feel like, can people really still just close their eyes and be like, I don't need to, there's nothing that I could shift in my life to potentially make my experience a more joyful one or a more empowered one. I mean, I don't know. To each their own, but I feel like we are getting to a point where it's becoming almost essential that people take a deeper look at why this stuff is happening.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And
how we're creating it as a collective consciousness, like how as a whole we have created this world and what's happening. If people truly believe that we are one, like that we're one collective consciousness, which I do. I know that's lofty and big for people. Some people might not understand that, but to me, that we're all connected.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, that's like an undeniable truth, about life. And it's like, if somebody's not winning, none of us are winning.
Right.
And, so we need enough people winning that we can tip the scales and have all of us winning. Right. And really that, that to me means that understanding what is my relationship to the whole?
Right.
Who am I being, in relation to like the whole and to, you know, the people who are not winning in this life. And then who am I to judge who's winning and who's not, you know, like, right. So it's a, multi-layered conversation. Here we are. Like, and that's part of the reason why I started Ignite Intimacy, because it's like,
right.
You know, I had so many questions coming up and my own desire to do some exploration, some journeying into a lot of this stuff and really understanding, like, why have I been mostly single my adult life? Like what, yes. You know, and it has stemmed from like, what's wrong with me? Right? Like, cause there's this stigma. It's like, and I've like been left out of things. Wrong. Yeah. And I've been like purposely left out of things because I don't have a partner. And just like,
a lot of shaming, a lot of single shaming. I wrote about that actually. I did a blog on that.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, people would say, how are you a relationship, you know, expert, or how are you advising people if you're not in a relationship? I'm like, the most important relationship to me is the one I have with myself. So if that doesn't count for anything, then I'm not the one for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Run along.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of shaming that still happens for that. That's true.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's been interesting. So I just wanted to like get more in my power around it. And so one of the things that's come up quite a lot, and my twin sister and I did an episode on this, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago. And is the whole, or actually about a year ago, is the whole thing around like soul brother, soul sister relationships, you know, like that feeling of like when you meet someone and it's like, oh my gosh, like I feel like we've journeyed together before. Like there's just like this immediate connection.
Instant recognition. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to dive into that with you a little bit, just based on your experience in the twin flame realm.
Yeah, that is my niche. So, you know, that's how I started this business, was because I realized that was my experience, and it was all intuitively guided. I mean, I started a video series about sort of the twin flame connection or dynamic that was purely it was terrifying, to be honest with you, because I really at that point did not know if this was coming from, like, I was like, am I imagining this? Like, where is this information even coming from? But having worked in the healing arts for several years, I was like, okay, you know, when the channel is on, when the faucet is flowing and information is coming, you just got to trust that what's coming through is what you need to share. So that's how it started. It was really like, I took a leap of faith and I was like, I'm just going to I didn't want to do it for a year. I said, I'm not putting this on YouTube. I'm not talking about this in public. People are going to think I'm nuts, et cetera, et cetera. And I told myself a bunch of stories, and then finally it was just incessant. And so I started the series on twin flames. I did about, 25 free videos. And then I felt like, okay, the information kind of dwindled in terms of what I was receiving every day, because I was getting a lot of what we could call like downloads or whatever, a lot of ideas and things coming through me. So I let it happen. I recorded everything, and then I took a little bit of a break, and I was working with a lot of people one-on-one. And in that time, you know, this is what we were talking about, because everybody thought they had a twin flame. So then everybody wanted to call and ask about their twin flame, and can you confirm that this is my twin flame? And can we talk about, you know, whatever. So that was 2016. But what I learned in all of those calls, was really a lot about what we were just talking about in terms of soul family, right? Or soul contracts with people, or soulmates that we're going to meet. I mean, a twin flame connection is still a soulmate. And, you know, look, there is no absolute on this. It's still, you know, an idea that is becoming, I feel, integrated into our consciousness. And it's not like anybody is a complete, like, what's the truth? I mean, that's the thing about it. It's almost becoming a little bit of a frenzy, I feel, like a little bit of dogma, people trying to attach like certainty to certain ideas. What I've felt, and what I will say all along, is that people can take what resonates, you know, only you can know what's true for you. It's not up to anybody to believe you, or for you to have to convince anybody about what is your soul's truth. So there is an element of just needing to know that this is an inward journey. There are things about this. First of all, the masses are not going to understand. Probably the people in your life are not going to understand. I still feel that twin flames meeting each other is pretty rare. I know that a lot of people think that they've met their twin flame. I personally don't feel that that's very true, but that's just an intuitive feeling that I have, because I think that it's an extremely challenging soul path. And I feel that just like I said, after hundreds of sessions with people, it's a vibration. So I can't really explain it other than it was something that I could feel when I was talking to somebody, if it really resonated for me or not, as something that felt true. Yeah.
Well, so can we go into just some definitional terms? Like, how would you define a twin flame?
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if there's actual markers, but I feel that there are themes. Okay. Because this is something that people want to know. They're like, I have to be able to distinguish. Is it a soulmate just here to teach me something and that's it? Or is it my twin flame? Again, what I would have to say is that the number one truth is that only you can know if that feels true for you. So some of the themes that I've seen are that, number one, it is a connection that is designed for massive accelerated growth, which means that it's not going to fit in typically to a standard, what a relationship we think it should look like, meaning it's probably not going to be simple to just be together. There's a lot of stuff that gets triggered when you meet this person. And again, it's very fuzzy, the lines here, right? Because that could happen with other people as well. And when we have really powerful karmic connections with people that we need to heal things, it can feel like insane chemistry. It can feel like, oh my God, I have to be with this person. This is meant to be. But often when it's that frantic, manic, oh my God, I can't get enough of this person. I'm obsessed with them. That's usually karma that we're healing, because love in its purest form is not frenzied or manic. It's just not. That doesn't mean that you can't have passion with somebody and that it's not exciting. It's that incessant, obsessive, like I have to have it. I need to be with them all the time, like codependent type of energy. A lot of people in that space. So thinking, oh, it's my twin flame. I'm going to say probably not, but we don't know. What are some of the themes? Like I said, massive purging, quick growth, like rapid spiritual awakening when you meet them. Lots of stuff coming up. Like I said, oftentimes it's really not traditional. For example, the person might be a lot older than you, or maybe you're married and they're married when you meet, and it's like, oh, we can't be together. And then you have all of these things that you have to deal with and heal first. That's just one scenario. It doesn't happen that way, but it's just not easy. Like when, for example, I was married and I'm divorced. I was married for about 7 years. And when I met my ex-husband, it was easy. We met, we got along. Again, it wasn't that like manic state. It was like, this feels good. This guy feels familiar to me. It's nice to meet him. It wasn't this roller coastery feeling. And then we got together pretty quickly. It was pretty easy. Then he moved in. Like it was just kind of seamless. And with soulmates, it's intent. And I say soulmates, meaning people that are not your twin flame. It's easier because you're meant to walk side by side with them to learn these lessons, because oftentimes when those people come into our life, it's because we're working on some of the same issues, either, working in the same emotional issue, or we're working on, whatever, an energetic issue, but something is parallel there. And so that person needs to be with us usually side by side and not all over the place here and there, separated, coming back, like this pushing and pulling. That's not really typical. You could probably think about your past relationships, and I guarantee you that some boyfriends come and it's like easy. They're just there until they're not anymore. And you're like, okay. And you can see, and then it's easy. Like once they're gone, the energy fades and it's like, that's done. And I would say that the majority of our partners are usually like that because they are a soulmate. We've definitely walked with them in other lives. We know their soul. They feel like home. They feel familiar to us, but it doesn't mean they're meant to stick around forever. But the twin flame connection, it's this, eternal connection. It doesn't go away. So it can be very annoying. And so I would say that one of the things that people probably come to me about is like, why can't I stop thinking about this person? Now, again, that can be karmic attachments that haven't been resolved yet. So there is that to take into consideration. If patterns are on repeat, then it could be that we just have additional things to heal. And then we've actually truly not just balance that karma by acting in a different way or doing something differently, but getting to the root of it and understanding that it's even there in the first place, then, sometimes those really strong connections will dissipate. But with a twin flame, there is this essence of just pure, unadulterated joy and love, but it's an unattached love. It's like a agape. It's like unconditional love that you feel that with the person, whether you're with them or not. And it becomes this kind of dance of healing that's not codependent. It's like you're healing and you do have the connection with this person. And it's intended for both of you to massively grow in this life and to help the collective with the ascension process, meaning raising our vibration on earth for the world. So it's a big deal. It's like a big job, right? It's not just something like, oh, this is for my personal enjoyment and for my... What ends up happening so many times is that you're not together easily. You're doing a ton of healing separately, whether you're in a relationship with someone else or not. and it's possible that one of you is in a relationship and the other is not, or vice versa. Or like I said, sometimes both people are in, let's say, like karmic relationships where they're healing still. Maybe they have karma that includes children with another person that they need to work through first. So it's not like a guarantee that you're meant to be with this person in a traditional way. I would say that if you've met your twin flame, the desire to be together will be there. Because some people are like, oh, I don't want to be with them. And I'm not sure about that. That really doesn't resonate, because I feel that if it is truly your twin flame, it is a sacred sexual connection. For me, that's what feels the most true to me. Like I said, there's a lot of ideas out there. It's becoming like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions, because why? Everyone's having a different experience, right? So what feels true to one person might not feel true to another. And that's such a personal thing. And I feel like go and read and go and, get whatever information you want off the internet or wherever you find it. But really, truly tap into your own inner guidance system and say, does this feel true to me? Does this feel like something that resonates deeper for me or whatever? Because it's very easy to get confused, and people are seeking and they want security. They want certainty. They want to know, is this true? But it doesn't matter, because ultimately the entire experience, no matter how intense it is about learning how to let go. It's about learning how to totally detach from the need for a specific outcome, for something specific to happen. People want to say, oh, I want to be together with them, like married and have kids with this person. It could happen. Why not? But what's got to happen first is going to be a crap load of healing, basically. So it's like, I haven't seen anybody really that is in this kind of connection so far that I've met that has had it easy. I feel that it's really, the purpose of it is to transmute energy on the planet. It's to do deep healing for yourself through your ancestral line. It's to change the entire paradigm of what it is to be in a body, right? And love, and be in a frequency of love without attachment. So it's a lot. It's not just, oh, we're going to have this like fantasy romance. It's going to be super sexy and amazing, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, that's
that for me.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, I've heard this, and look, so much of this is like, what we can go on is the wisdom of the ages, right? Like there are just like certain wisdom of the ages that just sort of stand fairly firm, because
they point to the connection between, Yeshua and Mary Magdalene as a twin flame connection, or other, let's say, partnerships in history that reflect this kind of connection back and forth. So you can definitely look back and say, but again, a lot of it is subjective, right? Because people are having their own experiences, and so they want to label it. They want to say this is what's true, and that is coming from fear, ultimately. Because if you have to know something is true, you're afraid that you won't know your actual truth if you surrender.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I've heard this kind of like one wisdom of the ages is like, and who knows what the realness is around this. I think it's different for everybody, but just like, I've heard people say, well, like when you meet someone and there's like a lot of chaotic energy and just like this like strong, passionate desire and it's like all this
like
stuff.
I said, manic.
Yeah, like manic energy, like the chances that you'll be in a harmonious long-term relationship, are questionable. When you like, and I've talked with a lot of people who have been in long-term relationships that they're fairly satisfied with and, still feeling good in, who are like, honestly, like I wasn't even attracted to him when I met him. Like, or like, like this energy of just like, no, it wasn't sparks and fireworks and,
it was called a wound mate. We can call that a wound mate.
Like the sparks and fireworks, right? Like,
yeah. But there's a quote by, I think it was Doreen Virtue, but I don't know. And she creates like oracle cards and things like that. But, or I don't even know if she's doing that anymore. She's changing direction. She's back in a Christian, path, apparently.
Really?
So anyway, it's a big drama in the spiritual community because she's not doing her decks anymore. And she's she's only doing decks about Jesus. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you have to look into that because she's like, I'm a newborn Christian and I only want to do this, and that's that. So yeah, it's interesting. But she has a quote, I think it was hers, and she said, where there's drama, there's unhealed trauma. And I really truly stand by that because in talking to so many people, I mean, like I said, true loving, being in a vibration of love and self-love and loving yourself and being able to be with a person without clinging to them and needing them to satisfy your needs and, fill your voids. Of course, the person may satisfy your needs, but it's not their responsibility, right? So that's a mutual sharing. And in a relationship, we want to do those things, but that's when we're meeting our needs on our own before we enter the relationship, which most people just don't know how to do. They're not there yet. That's the shift that I hope I can contribute to in my lifetime. It's just, can we be in relationships that are not roller coastery because we know our values, we know what's important to us, we're able to meet our own needs, which you've, I'm sure, learned in being single. I have. I learned how to meet my own needs. Now I feel like I'm in a space where it's like, okay, now I could actually come to the table being a person who's emotionally independent and self-reliant. However, that doesn't mean you don't want intimacy or they don't want to share something with somebody. I mean, I think that's beautiful and healthy and it's a human desire. It's just, can we come to the table without all the drama? Well, and that's our responsibility, right? To look at that stuff.
Well, exactly. And then it's like, and the thing is that there's only so much work you can do on your own.
Of course. That's the thing. That's why I'm trying to help people now in the business saying, listen, the whole twin flame experience to me is about the relationship. Like I said, being the vehicle or the container for ascension and for spiritual awakening. So it's not just, like to have kids and to, raise a family. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful too. But this is more than that. It's like also includes all of this healing and being conscious of the fact that you and shifting and raising your vibration and knowing that that's your purpose with this person to really mirror back this deep, deep, deep healing work that is helping the earth change its frequency. So that to me is a marker and what makes it different than, a soulmate who you could say, maybe you're not even aware what you're doing together. You just liked them. You were attracted to them. And it's like a different level of awareness potentially.
Yeah. Well, and from my estimation and, look, I'm like in it. I'm just in it. I'm a human being on the path and I'm on the court, but I'm just thinking like, okay, it's, it's good to spend time single. It's good, like really single, and it's good to spend time in relationships and so a mixture of all of that gives us greater perspective because then when we're in relationship, we can practice some of the things that we learned to do outside of relationship.
Well, that's the thing. You need to apply it, right? If all we were here to do was work on ourselves, there'd be no purpose for a relationship. But that's why the relationship is such a beautiful teacher because once we learn all these beautiful things, it's like, okay, cool. I need to go apply it. I need to go practice with somebody. I need to go in and do this with another person because it's not just a solo path. Maybe for some people it is, but I think for most of us it's not.
Well, yeah, totally. This is a powerful conversation. So you've got 2 ebooks, or let's see, is it 2 ebooks that are available?
So I have one ebook that is specifically on twin flames.
Okay.
And that's available on Kindle and on iBooks. I have a few e-courses. So I have an e-course on this experience on the relationship healing, Love Liberated. So that's a 5-module course with a lot of sort of going back into the past, looking at your past patterns with your family. It's really a course to raise awareness about patterns that are on repeat because most of my clients were coming to me with the same themes and they just didn't understand why those things were popping up in all of their relationships. So that course is really designed to raise awareness around that stuff and to get really clear, wow, what are my repeating patterns? Where does this come from? How is this connected to my parents or to my family of origin or to my primary caregivers, and then as you move through the modules, there's some meditations and it's about 60-page workbook with exercises and things to do. So I'm proud of that course. That is my that's my baby. So that's
awesome.
A powerful course, but it's work.
Yeah.
It's work. Like all of this, that's the thing. It's like we want these amazing connections. We want these beautiful, intimate relationships. But guess what? It starts with us. I mean, intimacy you've got to cultivate by being vulnerable with yourself first.
Yep.
And like you said, look, being single for an extended period of time can then become self-protection mechanism, right? Yep. It can be a block to intimacy because it's like, oh, I don't want to open up. So I'm going to be this strong, powerful, independent woman when really I'm longing for intimacy and I cry myself to sleep at night because I want to be with a partner and I'm lying to yourself. So there's that. There's always the opposite side of the coin, right? That was me. That was totally. I've been that woman too. So, it's about honoring our desires without denying, where there are things that we need to look at, but then honoring our heart's desire, because if your is to be in a beautiful, passionate, sexy, amazing, emotional relationship, then amen. Because if we deny it, you're going to become resentful, and then we have more blocks.
And then you're just not living the fullness in life.
Right.
And what fun is that,
it's not fun. It's crap.
and not that living your full truth is always fun, because that presents its own bigness, right? Like
its own set of challenges of being authentic and dealing with that. But baby steps. Like, even if we take one small step towards what we desire, what do they say? Take one step towards the gods and they take 100 steps towards you. It is the laws of the universe that if you put it out there, the intention that you desire something and you're willing to just raise your hand and say yes, the resources and support that will come to you just magnetically through that intention is super powerful. So it's not always like being in the dirt and in the shadow work constantly. We need to take a break too.
Totally.
Balance. There's a lot of that too. It's like too much. Have fun. I created this other course, which I just released, which is the Jade Egg Secrets. And that is about pleasure. So that's fun, because not that it's not also energy work and clearing, but it's for pleasure. It's for pleasure, because that's an area, I get into it with my clients, and then they're constantly in this emotional, deep digging. And I'm like, take a break from that too. You can only integrate so much at one time and it becomes heavy. So it's awesome that you want to move through things, that you want to, heal that stuff, and that's great. However, just, you know what I mean? It's like we can't
balance
always be
it.
we don't
give yourself a break.
Wounded people that constantly need healing. I mean, be aware of your stuff, but also make time for pleasure. So
there's got to be that other side. It's very important. We can't be fullness if we're always lashing ourselves and, So Alison, how can people find you online?
So they can find me on my website, which is my name, AlisonLessard.com, Alison with one L, and you'll have the links, right? Do you want me to spell it out?
No. Let's spell it out, and then we'll have the links in the show notes.
Okay, cool. So it's Alison Lessard, ALISONLESS, like Sam, ARD.com. So that's my personal website. And then, that's where most of my main resources are, the e-courses and things, ways to work with me. I've got my Instagram, which is my name with a dot in the middle. So Alison.Lessard, that's my Instagram handle. And I've got a public Facebook page, which is also my name. So you can just look that up under public pages. And lastly, YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel, again, my name. So
awesome.
It's my name, you'll find me there. Lots of free videos and resources on the YouTube as well.
And we'll have all of those links in the show notes. So definitely make sure that you check those out. Alison, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for diving into these topics.
Oh, thank you. It was awesome. Thank you so much. The more people that want to do this, the better. I just feel like the healthier and happier relationships that we have, I hope, like I said, that can be my contribution.
Absolutely.
I die. That's my legacy.
Well, so you heard it here. Ignite Intimacy Community. Check out AlisonLessard.com. We'll have other links in the show notes. And then if you have any questions or you don't know how to get to the show notes, or you have comments on this episode, please email us at hello@igniteintimacy.com. Always super helpful for you to hop over to iTunes, leave us a review and a rating. It just helps more people have access to this podcast. And Alison, we're so grateful for your time and your expertise today. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Cool. All right. So listen, Ignite Intimacy Community, thank you for tuning in and stay blessed. And we'll check you on the next one. Ciao for now. Give thanks for tuning in to another conversation on the Ignite Intimacy podcast hotline. We love that you choose to spend your time with us. Check us out online at igniteintimacy.com and subscribe to us on iTunes. Also, tell your friends all about it. This beautiful music was arranged by Jason Pfaff and Mike Corey. And this podcast is produced by yours truly, Miss La. Give thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, let your light shine bright and ignite your intimacy.